Hey everyone, Dion Edwards here, real estate agent with StreetCity Realty. Today I'm here with a great friend of mine since childhood, Brooklyn Vienneau. Brooklyn is a transformational mentor along with a body freedom coach. And recently she co-released a book called We Are the Sacred Feminine Rising. On the first day they actually got a best-selling author title, which is crazy. Thanks for being here today, Brooke.
Thanks for having me, Dee. I'm super excited.
I am too. Why don't you start by telling us what it is you do and what your business is?
Yeah, so my business and my mission in the world has evolved with me over the past 5 years. I've been an entrepreneur for 5 years next month. And what started initially as a vision to help people become the healthiest versions of themselves has since evolved and translated into something bigger than I think I ever could have imagined. So when I first left my corporate role back 5 years ago and returned to the same corporation as a corporate fitness coach, I was a personal trainer. And so I was helping people, my former business partner and I were helping people to really just get the shoes on their feet and take action in tending to their body in that way. And while that felt really fulfilling and was also a bridge to something that was a lot bigger, I I quickly realized that I wanted to hold space for people in a much deeper way. So I took a life coaching course and I became a life coach. And my former business partner and I started doing events in the community healing workshops that Dion frequently was present for. And so that really invited me into the awareness that people, women in particular, need to be in community, and we need space held for one another to be seen, heard, and understood. These are three fundamental pillars of being a human being that have been so missed and denied for a really long time in a variety of different ways. To be seen, heard, and understood are fundamentally the most important parts of being in relationship with one another so that we can be in safe and sovereign relationship with ourselves. And I've noticed the patterns and themes that I noticed through doing this work is that so many people feel like they're living in hiding. And I think that looks a lot of different ways for different people. But something that manifests commonly is having a shame-based relationship with our bodies. We have been subject to all of this programming and conditioning from institutions and large societal structures that have been ultimately profiting off of our insecurities, especially women, but all humans, and that are driving this narrative, this story that in order to be loved and accepted by the world, we need to look a certain way, we need to present a certain way, we need to be a certain way. And as a result, so many people and their truths are being fucking closeted in a variety of different ways, whether that's closeting your sexuality, closeting the truth of your voice, closeting your opinions, closeting your spiritual beliefs, your deepest desires, right? We're all putting things in boxes and trying to mold ourselves and manipulate ourselves to shape shift in the way that we think that society is expecting of us. And so as a result, we're all walking in the world in a way that feels really inauthentic and not actually able to connect to other people. And so we need that foundation of self-sourcing connection and of self-sourcing love. And in order to create that and cultivate that in our own bodies, in our own lives, we need to understand all of the ways in which we've been pulled away from that. So doing deep trauma resolution work and understanding where we have imprints of trauma or projection from society or from our parents, from our peers growing up, from whatever kind of things have influenced and shaped us as people, to understand the way that these things live and are stored in our bodies and tend to them and care for them. Look at all of the ways that we have abandoned ourselves, rejected ourselves, spoken poorly about ourselves, and to see how that has manifested as us feeling disconnected from the rest of the world. We have to do kind of that backwards work and look at all of the ways in which we have dismissed or not cared for our pain. And
Mhm.
then to be able to care for that in new ways is what creates alchemy in our energy fields and our systems. And that's what ultimately leads to transformation on every level: physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, financial, relational transformation. And so my mission on earth, and as it continues to evolve, I continue to evolve, but my mission is to support people in feeling safe and sovereign and alive in their physical bodies, and to understand the importance of that and how it translates into showing up in the world with confidence, with clarity, with conviction, with a knowing of who they are.
Mhm.
And can you imagine what the world would look like, and how it would operate differently if we were all solid in the truth of who we were and felt safe to express ourselves authentically? Everything would be different. We would be connected in community. We wouldn't be relying on competition and comparison to fuel our egos, right? We wouldn't be seeking validation. We wouldn't be reaching outside of ourselves for external sources to fill empty voids inside of us. We would know inherently that we are all whole, and that when we come together as individual, whole, sovereign beings, we create a web of interdependence. And I think that conversation in particular is now more important than it ever has been, with so much separation and segregation happening in our world. But that's the vision that I hold, is that we can reclaim and rediscover our own innate wholeness, so that we can see and participate in the wholeness and the unity of our collective. So that's a long-winded way of saying I help people transform the shit out of all areas of their lives. And my particular focus right now is in creating body freedom. So understanding all of the ways that we feel unsafe in our physical bodies, and bridge that gap to a place
Mhm.
where we can feel safe and fully accepting
Yeah.
of how we look, of how we speak, of who we are, because our truth and our authenticity is what is going to change the fucking world, in my opinion.
You do other things as well. Like if someone has a different issue with becoming aligned with who they are, and they need to stop asking when, like when I do this, then I'll be happy, or whatever it is. You do that as well, right? It's just not just like if they don't feel aligned with the body side of it, you also work in all areas, right?
Working with the body can look many different ways, right?
Okay. Yeah.
I think the most common perceived problem that people come to me with is they say, I hate myself. I don't feel confident. I'm living in hiding, and I don't know why or what's wrong with me or how to be able to fix that perceived
Yeah.
problem. Right? And sometimes that looks like really deconstructing the programming that they hold around needing to alter their physical appearance in order to feel approved of in the world. And oftentimes it looks completely different. It looks like going into and somatically exploring trauma and where we hold it in our bodies, and how past experiences have left imprints on our nervous systems, and to be able to care for our bodies in that way. Like there are just so many different kind of intersections and ways in which we can create freedom in our
Yeah.
bodies, right? There's also like the ability to use our voices and express
Mhm.
ourselves, and within that encompasses sexuality. And so that's a really key part of my work as well, is helping people to understand their own sexual and creative and spiritual nature, because sexual energy is creative energy, is spiritual energy. It's all the same. And so when we can understand that and release ourselves from the shame that has been placed on us in being sexual beings, we
Mhm.
can go back to our true nature, which is inherently sensual. And whether that's sexuality work around understanding, your sexual preferences and your orientation, or feeling safe in your body to have sexual experiences that are empowered, that allow you to fully open to the healing and the medicine and the pleasure of these experiences.
Mhm.
Uh, yeah, the work I do is vast and broad and encompasses kind of a little bit of all of those things.
I love that you said that, because like the body side of it comes off as like the physical side, like what does my body look like, but like you're using that as like a blanket statement for so much more, like just being
Yeah.
happy and home in your body, like you said before.
Yeah, it extends to so many different areas of our lives for sure.
Amazing. So we'll get into what it would look like if someone wanted to work with you, but what does it look like when different people work with you? So obviously there's people who like might do a week, like a program, like how does that work?
So presently this month, actually, I'm building out a free masterclass called Body Freedom. The launch date is going to be announced in the next couple of days. So stay tuned
Cool.
for that. If that's something that you're interested in. It's going to be a free masterclass and an opportunity to understand where you stand with your body and how you feel being in your own body. And then from there, I'm going to be building a group program that allows people to explore all dimensions of their relationship with their body. And that's going to happen and take place, obviously, exclusively online. Beyond that, I have a variety of kind of different tiers of working with me. So the first tier would be a single session. So this is it's called a calibration session, and it's an opportunity for us to get really crystal clear and kind of zoom into one particular theme or area of your life that's feeling disempowered, that's kind of showing up and screaming at you, that you feel like you want support in gaining clarity on.
Yeah.
This is kind of like an instant, really deep dive. We go in, we come out, and that can reverberate for weeks and months into people's lives, the awareness that's cultivated from one single session. And then beyond that, I have a 6-week program. This is a private coaching container called Revival. And so there's a particular kind of road that I've paved, and each road per person is individual and based on their experience and what it is that they're needing. So everything is customized with kind of a framework that I follow, and the intention is to revive whatever that means for you, to come back alive, to bring energy and focus and clarity into the places of your lives that maybe have been missed for whatever reason. And lastly, I have a 6-month container. So this is a really, really deep, deep dive, and it's called Remembrance. And this is where we revisit childhood trauma and create integration and completion and experiences that haven't felt complete for whatever reason. And this is a really deep dive into inner child healing. We do lots of shadow integration, which is basically looking at the parts of ourselves that we've rejected and denied out of shame, out of, the feelings that certain parts of us are bad or wrong. And so the Remembrance, the 6-month program, is what I've seen so much success with a lot of my clients in the past who have worked with me for 6 months, 1 year, 18 months, 2 years and beyond. And that's a really great way to feel consistently supported in an ongoing way,
Mhm.
and to build a really closely connected relationship. It's such an interesting relationship dynamic to have. It's like having a best friend and a therapist, and there are so many kind of different dimensions to a relationship of that nature, and it's just such an honor to hold space for people to witness firsthand these transformations happening. It's beautiful. I also do lots of in-person work depending on where I am in the world. Right now I'm out west in the mountains, so I have some people coming for in-person retreats here, and then when I'm at home, I do lots of kind of overnight stays in this cabin that I stay in seasonally. So there's lots of different ways to work with me, and the first step would be just reaching out and
Yeah.
getting on
That was
a
my
clear.
next question actually, is what does someone want to do if they like love what they're hearing right now? What's the next step? How do they learn more?
Yeah, if you're feeling compelled to connect with me, just reach out on Instagram or send me an email. You can go to my website, however you feel called to connect, and we'll schedule a free call to just have really honest conversation about where you're at and what feels like it's missing or what feels disconnected in your life. And then we can kind of just take audit of what it is that you need and create a plan of action that best suits you.
Yeah,
Help support
with
your
one of
life.
the containers that you mentioned.
Mhm.
The
Yeah.
6-month container sounds intense. I didn't realize you were doing that. It's a big change. You do a lot of
Yeah.
change in 6 months for sure.
Yes.
A lot of growth. Wow. What is the most memorable experience you've had so far while doing this work?
In business?
Yeah, business or like even with a client or anything, whatever it is.
Wow. I've had so so many beautiful experiences. I love I love the work that I did seasonally at that cabin outside of London. I hosted 24-hour private retreat experiences. So women would come and spend time with me in this beautiful oasis on this big piece of land right on the lake. And we would go in deep together. Actually, I had someone who came from British Columbia and stayed for 7 days. And so we did this really high touch, intensive 7-day retreat together. And the levels of vulnerability that we accessed, it just wouldn't be possible in any other context. And have space held for her for that period of time, that extended period of time, allowed for such rapid transformation. She left a different person than when she came. And so whether it's a 24-hour retreat or 7 days or 3 days or whatever, I love being able to see women say yes to themselves, to step away from the family, to step away from the obligations, the personal responsibilities, the to-do list, and fully give back to their own bodies and to their hearts, and allow themselves to be witnessed in a really deep way it's definitely been my favorite work. And my former business partner and I, we hosted workshops that sold out monthly for 2 years in London and London surrounding area. And that was really fun too.
Those are really fun. Yeah, those are cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, at the yoga studios. Those are fun.
Mhm.
Amazing. Yeah, those sound like great times. The 7-day transformation, that would be wild. I can't even imagine what that person went through.
Yes. And actually, in particular, there's one kind of component to that type of work that I really love, and that is to show women that it's safe to be witnessed, not just like witnessed, but full body witnessed. And so this is something that I'm kind of coming out of the closet with more and more. And it might, if you were to look at my Instagram feed, for example, you might see lots of pictures of me that look promiscuous. My grandma calls them erotic. Like, I love to be able to freely show myself, and to live in my body as a wild woman and as a sovereign woman, without needing to cover up or shrink myself or hide myself. And that's been a huge part of my own healing. And being witnessed naked, as funny as this might sound to people who are like, what the fuck is this girl talking about? to be
wild.
be witnessed naked is one of the most exposing and transformative experiences we can have as individuals. To not be witnessed in a sexualized or hypersexualized way, but to just honor the anatomy of the human body, and to hold reverence for all of the places that we've been shamed for, and that we've been told we have to hide, So I love doing that work with women as well, like letting them safely explore their edge, and whether that's, having their breasts revealed, or just like being naked in a sharing space naked together, is incredibly powerful. And that's a big component of the work that I do. And also, some people don't they don't feel safe to do that yet. So like,
I know women who don't even feel comfortable in a bathing suit. So like,
totally. And I've been there. Like, this is why I do this work, is because I've experienced the contrast. I know what it feels like to want to hide myself in every way, and to be so ashamed of my physical body. Sisters being naked together is changing. It's changing the world, I swear.
That's funny. Okay, so what are your customers saying about you? Like, do you have very much feedback? Do you ask for feedback? Like, what are they saying?
Yeah, I've received a lot of really beautiful feedback over the years, and something that I think stands out the most, and is the most commonly expressed, is that there are people who have sought help and support in a variety of different ways for years, decades, sometimes an entire lifetime. People have been searching for a connection with someone where they feel truthfully, honestly, and lovingly held and supported. And I'm surprised to hear how rare that is, but I can also understand, looking at the ways that a lot of clinical therapy kind of strips empathy sometimes from these transformations. And so I think the most common source of feedback that I've received is that people have tried various different modalities, types of healing, and that the work that we've done together has been the most impactful and sustainably impactful too. Like I had a man who I worked with for about 6 months, and he just recently reconnected with me and said, like, you know, you've saved my life. Like, you've changed my life. I've been looking for this type of support for years and years and years. And this 6-month portal that we went in has now reverberated. It's been about a year and a half since we've worked together. He's thriving. He's loving his life. And so it's not just within the container where shit changes. It's like, this is a total alchemy, a full body, full life transformation that, you know, nothing will ever be the same onward when people are able to see themselves through a lens of truth. You know, you can never cross back the other way onto the bridge. Like, once you've crossed the bridge, whether you classify it an awakening or a transformation or ascension or whatever, however it lands for you, whatever resonates, there's no going back to the other side. So I love hearing about that sustainable transformation.
I love that. Like, so they feel like comfortable to express themselves. And yeah, you're right. How do you go back after you're like, wait, I was scared of something that I didn't need to be scared of. Like, I love myself. Yeah. Okay. So like a little more personal here, right? Not that this isn't personal, it's very personal, but a little more personal for you. What have been your highest highs? Like, it can be related to your business, but it also doesn't need to be.
My highest highs often follow my lowest lows. And that's not meant to glamorize pain or suffering at all. But I do just kind of honor the cyclical nature of our energy and how things naturally ebb and flow. So I think first things first is to detach from what it means to be in high highs, you know, because I think holding that grip of like, if something's going really well and it's like, I don't want it to go away, you know, then we actually miss out on being in full appreciation for that moment or that experience. And then when we're in low lows, it's like we're just anticipating when we're going to be able to get out of it. So there's a real level of mastery required to ride the fucking wave of life and to trust that it's all medicine. You know, some of it is more feels more expansive than other moments, and some moments feel, you know, incredibly unbearable. And to be able to hold that resiliency and kind of hold that pace of knowing how to care for yourself through the high highs and low lows is what makes it all come together and feel all perfect and divinely orchestrated and beautiful. All of that being said, high. I mean, I feel like I'm in it. I feel like I'm in that right now and have been for a few months. And that's not to say that I haven't been met with a shit ton of darkness, because this trip that I've been traveling for the past 3 months, and it's been such a beautiful adventure of knowing myself and accessing different like understandings of who I am beyond what I identify with, beyond the identity I've created as a business owner, as a leader, as a healer, you know, as a sister and a daughter and a friend and all of these things. It's like I'm getting to know myself in different ways through this trip, and it's been equal parts uncomfortable and quite tragic, honestly, in a lot of ways, and it's so beautiful. So I feel like I'm there right now. I'm definitely riding a really beautiful wave, while also meeting the grief that our world is in total destruction right now, and holding the polarity of the dark, the light, and everything in between that exists on that continuum, you know?
Yeah. There's a lyrics there. I love that. Yeah, no, I hear you for sure. And it was like, I agree, I'm probably on the same as you, on a high right now. And yeah, recently, like, being able to go out there and visit you was amazing. That's part of that high. It's been beautiful.
Yeah, that was good. That was really, it's just perfect timing. And Yeah, it was so beautiful to connect with you in a new place and for us to be in celebration of our lives because, for anyone watching this, Dion and I have been through everything together since we were 13 years old. Like we really have been through everything. And it's like all of the most tragic moments of my life, Dion just always happens to be there. Like it's so profound, you guys, how present he's been through my life, and I think vice versa. And two summers ago, I was basically in crisis in this really abusive relationship when I was living in Canmore, Alberta, and Dion just happened to be in Canberra on the day that my life imploded and that everything crumbled and fell apart. And he was able to support me in the ways that he always does, which is to be so present and loving. And yeah, our friendship has been, I mean, it's one of my favorite. He's my best friend for eternity and for so many reasons, but to just see kind of the trajectories that we've both individually gone on. And we've gone through seasons of our life where we've kind of gone in different directions. And then we come back together and everything just gets strengthened. And we've been for the past year or so in this really solid place where we've kind of held each other and witnessed each other through this elevation that we're both kind of going through. And to be going through it at the same time is really cool because we can celebrate each other together and see reflections of each other within one another. And yeah, it's wicked. It's so great.
It's been a good ride and continues to be. So we're gonna zone in a bit. What is your favorite part about like the London area, like being in London in particular? London, Tillsonburg, Aylmer, St. Thomas, like the space.
I mean, that's where my crew is. My people, my community are in London. I grew up with Dion in a small town called Tillsonburg. It's like 45 minutes from London. But I've lived in London or had lived in London for several years. And I worked in corporate there, and that's where I started and grew my business. And then I left and I came back, and it's the home base, and there's good stuff happening there. There are good people initiating great movements and involved in awesome projects, and the diversity of leadership is really felt, and it's super strong. So that's my favorite part of London for sure.
Awesome. And your favorite restaurants and businesses, what would they be?
Okay, you know my favorite restaurant. Me Size Thai Kitchen is my favorite restaurant. It's in Byron. Guys,
beautiful.
The red curry is just my favorite meal ever, and Dion knows that. We've shared so many Thai meals together. I love Me Size. I love Root Cellar. I don't know if it's open again, but Organic Root Cellar on Dundas used to be a favorite. They were closed for a period of time, but I heard that maybe they're reopening. I don't know where we're at with that, but love those. And then businesses. Oh, I mean, there are so many incredible businesses that I love, but off the top of my head, Pretty Natural is just incredible. It has natural healthcare products and beauty care, and they have crystals and different kind of spiritual tools, and they've got all amazing jewelry. This is from there. And beautiful collaboration within the community of Pretty Natural, and that extends outward as well. And then there are so many other individual businesses, dance studios, massage therapists. Stretch Health Canada is run by my good friend Rui, and so he does fascial stretch therapy. He has an incredible team, and I think they're growing out now in your area, Dion, on the West End.
Yeah, they have one in West 5.
And they also have a place downtown, and yeah, there's so many other things that I can't think of right now. But
and last question, what is something people don't know about you?
I mean, I'm pretty open book.
Yeah, you are.
I don't know, Dion, what do people not know about me? Oh, I mean, so I don't have a physical home. I've been living nomadically for, I guess, over 2 years now. And actually beyond that, I've never really been in one place for a long period of time. my parents separated when I was younger. So my dad moved kind of from house to house. My mom had one solid place, which she eventually moved from. And I was a competitive athlete. So I kind of moved away from my hometown to train for a while. And I've done some traveling and went away to university and have kind of just been in motion. So a really big lesson for me has been cultivating home in my body and home wherever I am physically present. And I think that we all seek this. We all have this desire to understand the meaning of home. And so we create it in physical homes sometimes. And for me, that's maybe that'll resonate eventually, and I'll want to plant roots and have a place that I can call home. And right now I've fully leaned in and accepted the reality that I am a free wandering nomad who is moving from place to place and really just like following her heart and living a heart-led life. So I'm currently in the mountains and I'm staying in a beautiful little tiny home that I just so divinely manifested. And it's like I have this ability. I think one of my greatest superpowers is being able to manifest the coolest places to live. And so I'm trusting that for now. So that's something that maybe some people don't know, is that I don't have a
Yeah,
home.
you have a home.
My body is my
Your
home.
home is your body, and then like home, when you mentioned it earlier, is like an area. It's like St. Thomas, London, Port Talbot, Port Stanley.
Tilsonburg.
Yeah, and Tilsonburg, kind of. Is there anything else you wanted to add?
Yeah, I mean, I would love to give you an opportunity to share maybe what you've learned through our relationship and also just to speak about your process with finding home in your own life and like really leaning into transformation if you want
Okay.
to.
Yeah, sure. I'll say like through our relationship, I've really learned, I mentioned it earlier a bit, the when, like what you're always asking yourself, when, like we're saying when, I don't know, for example, when you're financially stable, you'll be happy, or when blank happens, like stop asking the when and living in the now is kind of something I'd say more recently taken away in the last few years from our relationship, mine and yours. For finding home in my body, that I think that's a big part, just like being happy with the present, trusting the process, knowing it'll all work out. There's an interesting lady named Esther Hicks, and she has a funny video. My mentor, actually, Mary Johnson, she actually runs and owns Street City with her partner. She sent me an Esther Hicks video, and it's just basically explains why things are always working out for you, and that you know that and you trust that. And it's the more you lean into that, the more they work out for you. So yeah, that's something I've like really leaned into recently. Just like things are always working out. They will always work out. Like, why get stressed on things you can't change? Yeah, that's kind of, I would say, where I'm at.
And I love, Dion, that you really committed yourself to this process of self-investigation. And so you've learned from these teachers. And so you've learned a lot about the law of attraction. And you really, I think, live by that notion that we are the creators of our own reality and we're living in a holographic universe, and anything outside of ourselves that we're seeing is a reflection of something intrinsic that we're feeling. And so while that information is really important to hold and live by, I can also appreciate how you've not just left it there, you've taken yourself into the trenches of your own trauma, and you've done a lot of work in unpacking behavioral patterns and things that you see within yourself, like your ability to look at yourself with honesty and with curiosity has really strengthened over the past, even just the past few months. Like, yeah, there's a different depth, a new depth of self-awareness and willingness to put all of the puzzle pieces together by seeing the things from your past that have influenced why you are the way you are now. And so I think that combination of, trusting and surrendering, knowing that we are the creators of our own reality, while also looking at all of the pain that you faced in your life and going into it and holding space for it and loving and forgiving yourself through it, is such a beautiful balance of healing. And you're really in it right now, and it's showing in the flow that's happening in your life with your business and in your relationships and in the way that you feel about yourself and in the way that you're expressing yourself and your creativity and all the things. Like they're all manifestations of you doing the work. And that's really cool to
Yeah.
witness.
Yeah. It's cool to hear you. So Brooklyn, thanks so much for taking time out of your day to sit down with me. Always a pleasure to learn more about a local and beyond business, especially one so close to my heart. Anyone who's interested in booking a calibration session with Brooklyn, if you mention Agent Dion to her when booking the session, you'll get 15% off. And to our audience, thank you for tuning in today. Again, once again, I'm Dion Edwards, real estate agent with StreetCity Realty. You can get in contact with me through the contact information below. Agent Dion on most social media platforms. If you want to get in touch with Brooklyn, www.brooklynfvienneau.com. You can also find her on Facebook and Instagram as well. Until next time, guys, take care.